What's up guys, and welcome back to another video. As you can see in the title, today's video is all about my thoughts and opinion on Allister Coetzee. Now a lot of people have been talking about him in the comment section, saying some saying he should be fired, some saying he shouldn't, some saying South African public are too harsh on him, some saying he must go as far as possible. Now I'm a motivational person. I like to motivate and find the positives in life, whether it's for my sporting teams or whatever it may be. But for this particular topic, I struggle. Now I'm all about giving chances and all that stuff, but when the stats talk, then in my opinion something needs to be done. And in today's video I'm talking about Allister Coetzee's statistics, how he's done in this year, why he should be fired, and why South African rugby needs a change, and why it needs a change fast. If we look at the stats, first ever defeat to Ireland in South Africa, first ever defeat away to Argentina, first ever defeat to Italy, worst ever Springbok year in history, 4 wins from 12 tests. This was obviously recorded earlier this year. Most points ever conceded against New Zealand, both in 2016 and 2017. And then the biggest margin defeat ever against New Zealand, 57-0. Who remembers that game? And then if we go to more recent stats, Ireland 38-3, one of the highest defeat Ireland's ever done against South Africa. Now if I look at those stats, those brief little points, I struggle to find positive thoughts to discuss with you guys. We look at his excuses. He's got a young team, correct, and they're developing. But then I've got a question back. Why are the coaches within the provincial level developing these players so well that they're playing such great rugby, to then come into the Springbok and wearing the Springbok jersey to completely failing? How can Johan Ackerman make Ross Cronje, Elton Yankees, all those brilliant Lions players play great rugby? How? Question is, the answer is a good coach. A coach who can motivate, a coach who can inspire, a coach who can teach lessons, strategies, keep a team spirits up, because clearly the Springbok spirits aren't up, they're down. Now guys, don't get me wrong, I know the South African public is harsh. When our team's winning, we are the top praisers in the world. But when our team's losing, we complain and we slaughter. Now I'm not one to slaughter, but in this instance I've got to talk about the facts, and I've got to discuss these things, because we are just dropping down. When Heineke Meyer left, Springbok rugby, well, the Springboks were ranked 3rd in the world. We are now ranked 6th. 6th place. Tell me when you remember a Springbok team being so weak. If I have to picture before 1994. Our rugby's been up and down and up and down. But if we go back to a coach like Harry Falloon, who's one of our worst too, Rudolf Strowley, a lot of you guys probably don't even remember or forgotten about him. Their results, their stats are better than Allister Coetzee's win percentage. That alone for me, guys, is a scary thought. We all slaughtered Peter de Villiers. In South Africa they call him Snorre, which is Afrikaans word for a moustache. He won a rugby championship. He didn't do too bad in the World Cup. Obviously Coetzee hasn't got a World Cup yet, but still, he got a team. But the question is, he got the team from Jake White. And Jake White built his team up to win the 2007 World Cup. So then again, the question with Peter de Villiers, how hard was his job when he got a World Cup winning squad and then he couldn't perform with that towards the end? Again, coaching questions. To me, he was a bit aggressive. I'll never forget a clip where South Africa were getting thumped by Australia, and he was in the change rooms, and he just slaughtered the players, made them feel like shit. He called them a bunch of the P word, and I'm not going to say it. How do you develop a team if a coach calls you that? And then John Smith turned around with Dick Muir, a fine South African coach, and they motivated the boys, built them up, gave a speech that gave them goosebumps, and they went on to come back, and I think they won it. But a coach needs to be able to inspire and motivate players to want to play better. And unfortunately, we can see it in the results, the stats, the way the Springboks mentality is at the moment, is that Allister Coetzee doesn't have that in him. Then we look at the work, the quota system, transformation, politics in sport. Yes, that is a factor, guys, and it is a problem within South African rugby. But we have talented players of colour within South Africa that that could be selected to play for the Springboks. If that is done correctly with the right management and team selection, then we will have the right team going forward. Because if we look at Am from the Sharks, talented young bloke, player of colour. We look at Gillant, talented bloke, player of colour. Yes, he played this past weekend, but Coetzee should have put him in again with Italy. He needs to try these things and play. If he sees a player not developing or focusing or going within, they need to sadly be dropped. Alton Yankee's fine example. Raymond Rule, unfortunately, earlier this year was shocking. And it is those kind of things that a coach needs to be able to do. And you're telling me if you have your assistants by your side, together you can't develop this coaching strategy in order to select a great team, quota or no quota, guys. Rassie Erasmus is in management, and I'm stoked about it, and I hope he's got a big say next year if Coetzee survives his check-up when they review his review of his contract and all that jazz. Rassie Erasmus needs to get his hands deep and dirty involved in this Springbok squad. He needs to make decisions for the right reasons. He needs to select teams for the right reasons. And he needs to select a coach that can coach. Now you guys will ask in the comment section down below, who can we use as a coach? Yeah, no, come on. Yes, he's overseas. Call him back. I'm sure he would love to coach the Springboks. Rassie Erasmus could take the head job. Dick Muir, who I mentioned earlier, great coach, and he was involved in many assistant jobs. There are coaches within South Africa. If we have to get a harsh coach who's tough, John Mitchell, Nick Mallet. There are coaches around South Africa. De Pre for the Sharks. There are guys around. Then let's go overseas. I'm sure there are a lot of coaches overseas who would die to be ex-coach of South African rugby. Because a lot of you guys know who are from New Zealand, Australia and all those countries. You can see the potential. You can see these players play when they play overseas in Europe. Those players are phenomenal. Some are even playing for other countries. CJ Standard, Rory Cockett, Brad Barrett, Strauss in Scotland. All those players playing there because they are good. Now if you have the right management and coach to select those players, they'll be there. Heineke Meyer, to me his issue was, he kept going back to the old boys. What Heineke should have done is develop these new guys and gone with them, and now they would have been stars. Victor Matfield didn't need to come back. And then he also had a little bit, and yes, you're going to say Shark supporter talking here, but he liked his Blue Bulls players. And if we looked at the Stormers at the time of that, Cheslin Colby, Gio Aplon, players of colour, missing out on opportunities. Lawasi and Volvo for the Sharks. That man at that time was brilliant. Those players there, guys, could play proper rugby, but they were being misselected, and to me that was Heineke Meyer's fault. But again, there are coaches to answer that question. To conclude with Allister Coetzee and the story, his overall record: played 25 games, won 11, lost 12, drawn 2. A win percentage of a pathetic 44%. 44%. It's sad, guys. It's sad because South Africa has the potential to be a world #1 team. If we look at New Zealand, Steve Hansen, credible coach. Ireland's coach, incredible. Eddie Jones in England, phenomenal. All those coaches, and I know a lot of the Welsh fans are going at Gatland and all that stuff, but let's not forget his records in the past. He did well. He's gone and beaten South Africa 3 times. That's something we wouldn't have ever thought about in the past. Something needs to be done, and it needs to be done fast. Because if we can't see the potential now, this South African team is going to shoot back down. Scary thought for you guys. At this rate South Africa are going, we're going to have to qualify for the Rugby World Cup. That hasn't happened in a very long time. But let's move on. 2017 is done. It will be marked off as a very, 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 very sad year for South African rugby. Yes, there are positives to look at, but there's a lot of negatives. And in order to remove those negatives, we need to start with a new coach. And it needs to happen now. Rebuilding phase needs to happen now, from today. Coach, we need a proper coach, a mental coach who can also build a player, a coach who can do the skills, who has the passion. Coetzee, don't get me wrong, hell of a nice guy. He's always positive, trying to find the positives, but he needs to also stop living in a delusional world. Admit to your faults, Allister Coetzee, because it's those things that are pretty much ticking off the rugby nation of around the world, because they're all looking at you and thinking you just don't have the brains to coach, because you say, yes, it's positive, it's positive. It's not positive. Yes, you won 2 games this November internationals, but you got destroyed by Ireland. South African public were nervous for Italy, and a lot predicted a loss to Wales. I didn't, but I'm hopeful and positive. I love my South African team and I only want the best. So that's going to conclude it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry if it was a bit negative, but it was something I need to get off my chest, and I wanted to end off talking about Allister Coetzee. I'll mention him again if he gets fired, but for now I'm done talking about Allister Coetzee, because it's just bringing you guys down, it's bringing me down, and I love creating bubbly, happy, sporting, motivational content. So if you enjoyed this video or agree with me on my points or what I have to say, hit that thumbs up button, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel so you can keep up to date with future uploads. I'm going nowhere, guys. There's still rugby coming up. I know a lot of you are requesting Pro 14. I will look into it and try and come up with something for you guys, talking about the Kings and the Cheetahs, and yeah, Any more suggestions, let me know down below, and I will gladly try my best to get it out for you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the support. There will be another video coming soon, so make sure you are subscribed for that one. Thanks guys, stay safe, keep positive, keep motivating others, and inspire. Go inspire people, because if you inspire, maybe you will help the Springboks win or any other team. Stay safe, never give up. Cheers.